What's up, guys? Form Check Friday. Welcome to the show. It's Friday, there are forms to be checked, and thus we find ourselves here once again. Our first video of the day comes from Lee Hinton. Now, Lee sent me an email. He said he's a big fan of the channel. He's attached a video of his first time pulling sumo in 6 or 7 months. He said his conventional is quite a bit stronger, but he's getting some hip pain pulling conventional. So what he's found is that he's able to stay away from the hip pain by pulling sumo, and he's just hoping I have some advice for him on his sumo deadlift here. So we take a look at Lee's deadlift here, and really the only issue I'm seeing is that his shoulders are kind of pulled forward. It looks like he could be kind of pulling his shoulder blades down his back, engaging his lats a little bit more, but his back angle, his hip height, his stance width, all that kind of stuff looks pretty good to me. So the biggest thing I'd try to do is really sink those shoulder blades into your back pockets a little bit more. Try to get a tiny little bit more extension out of that upper back. Although you'll notice if you watch me pull from the side, I am a little bit rounded over in that thoracic or upper back portion of the spine. However, it's of the utmost importance that we get those shoulder blades pulled down and we see the shoulder a little bit more straight up and down over the barbell. This is going to lead to a shortening of the lever of your torso, which can add a lot of kilos to your deadlift. So let's try and work on that, Lee, and hopefully that helps. The next video here comes from Matthew Grope. Now, Matthew sent me an email here saying that he's thinking he's leaning forward a little bit too far. It seems like a pretty normal position for him now. Pulling conventional for volume work, and he wants me to take a look at his technique here. So one of the things I've noticed here, Matthew, is that you're in a good position, but there's a slight, very slight loss of position in your low back and hips. So you can see right as you initiate the pull, we go from a nice neutral position to just losing that that anterior pelvic tilt just a little bit. And one of the reasons I wanted to include this video is because it illustrates what I talk about a lot quite well, and that is that you're finishing the deadlift with back extension as opposed to hip extension. Because we have that little bit of extension to make up, as we get into the top end range of motion, you're having to pull the back through more so than finish with the hips. So that's the biggest thing there, is I would try to be a little bit more patient off the floor and try to maintain that pelvic tilt. I think it's less of a back extension thing, more of a pelvic positioning thing. So play with some cat camels, feel that out, film more from the side, and try to make sure that that angle stays consistent as you initiate the pull. Our next video here comes from Stein. Now, Stein is from the Netherlands, so thank you for tuning in from all the way out there and sending in a video. He's doing some squats here, and honestly, most of it looks really, really good. The one thing I think you could work on is your timing a little bit. So if we watch this first video from the back angle, not really seeing much issue, but if we watch from the side angle, now we can see as you sort of get into the bottom position, you really loosen up, and we kind of hit that hole a little bit harder than I would like. And because of that loosening, or that excessive loosening, we're running into that sticking point a little harder than I think we could if we had a little bit more control to try and get a little bit more consistent and stay a little bit tighter as you change directions out of the bottom of your squat. So that's the biggest thing I want you to work on there, Stein, is try to slow down just a little bit and not rush into the bottom position. Let's try to get consistent, make sure we're maintaining trunk and upper back tightness as we hit the hole, and try not to get excessive depth. Just make sure we're getting below parallel, maintaining technique, and maintaining contraction as we hit the hole and as we change directions. Adam, 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 Adam. That's not it. Adam. All right, Adam Sabo. What's up, man? You are also a lifter with RTS, which I think is pretty cool because I'm a lifter with RTS. But thank you for sending this video in. I'm doing some high bar squats with ollie shoes, and previously Adam squatted with flat shoes rather, and with a much more sort of low bar type style. Now, one thing I noticed is that the first rep actually looks really, really good. As we move on from there though, it looks like that bar is pulling you forward out of the hole a little bit more each rep. So there's a couple of things here. Number one is I would play with just cueing yourself to tighten your upper back a little bit, pull the shoulder blades down, maintain lat tension, trunk tightness, etc. The other thing I would do is I would maybe try to move that bar a smidge down your back to reduce the length of your lever and the odds of you getting pulled forward. I want you to try and play with allowing your chest to come forward or down, however you want to call it, a little bit more when you initiate your squat so that we're not hitting the bottom, changing the angle of our hip or our chest, and then coming up through a range of motion that slightly varies from what we initiated the movement with. I think if you can more closely match what you're doing on the way up, on the way down intentionally, we won't be getting surprised by that bar pulling you forward because you'll be putting that bar in a stable position with that back angle on the way down. So let's try those couple of things and let me know how they go for you, man. And our last video submission today comes from Jared. Now Jared, that's not Jared. There's Jared. So Jared's got Bob Marley, he's got Kramer, and he's got Darth Vader on the wall behind him. So I don't know, you really need my advice? It looks like you've got it made, man. Anyways, Jared's doing a deadlift here, and it looks like we just lose a tiny little bit of position, much like we were talking to Matthew about. We're losing a slight little bit of position as we initiate the lift. So I want you to work on sorting out that pelvic position a little bit, getting into a little bit more anterior pelvic tilt, a little bit more extension through the back. And also one thing that can help you achieve that position, because it looks like we're having a little bit of a problem getting into that position even to start the rep, is widening your stance a tiny bit and trying to externally rotate at the hip or move those knees out a little bit. Sometimes that can give you the extra little bit of play that you might need to get your pelvis in a better position. So try those tips out. I love your friggin' posters, and hopefully that helps, man. Anyways, guys, that's it for Form Check Friday today. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, that email is calgarybarbell2@gmail.com if you want to submit. And we are currently up to June 23rd. So if you are before that date, you haven't heard from us, shoot me another email. Make sure we get to you, because I like to try to get to everybody and respond to everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. Like it if you liked it. Click subscribe to stay tuned if you want to see more stuff like this, and equipped lifting and big deadlifts and cool stuff like that. And we will see you guys next time. If you have any questions, comment below.